TCL
And
is
welcome everyone to our Agile Boston podcast. This is a post May virtual event podcast. I'm here with my good friends Dan Mezick and Dan LeFebvre. And Dan and I were just discussing a great question that we thought would be really awesome to bring out to everybody, which is, how has the Agile world changed just in the last 12 months?
Yeah.
So Dan LeFebvre, let's start with you. How has it changed in the last 12 months?
Yeah, so the first thought I had was that there seems to be an oversupply now of Scrum Masters and Agile coaches because companies are tired of buying Agile. They've laid people off. Consultants have sold them something that they haven't seen results from. And that's been really tough in that space.
Dan Mezick, what do you think?
Well, I would agree with my friend Dan LeFebvre, and I would add that at least on LinkedIn, among coaches, the coaches LinkedIn community on there, there's an acknowledgement that pushing it doesn't work. And there's much more vocalness about it than there was a year ago, as people are actually being vocal. And you can understand why employees won't be able to say such a thing. And certain coaches wouldn't be able to say it either if they're a party to push style transformations. But all of a sudden, people are courageously sticking their neck out and going, you know what, pushing this stuff doesn't work, and employee engagement's essential. That's something we didn't hear a year ago on the social media. So I would say that's something that's also changed.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good. And I think a third thing is that there's a real focus on agility beyond engineering.
Sure.
A lot of people can't spell Scrum or Agile. They have a business process they want to improve, or outcomes they want to improve. They have a process. That process is going under the microscope and it's being optimized for a flow. And
Yep.
Yeah, I'm seeing more of that. You guys seeing that?
That's good. I'm seeing some of that. Yeah, I mean, the focus on the outcomes and the results is what's necessary, right?
Yeah.
It's not about implementing Scrum at scale, safe, or anything like that. It really is about getting the results of agility, all right? The ability to capture and maintain competitive advantage using, rapid iteration and feedback loops.
Yeah. What do you see, Joe?
I think, I go back to what Jeff Sutherland said, I think, pre-COVID at Give Thanks for Scrum, when he asked how many people in the audience were Agile coaches or Scrum Masters, and I think a majority of the hands went up.
Yeah.
And the result, when Jeff Sutherland, asked everyone, and most of the people, he said, listen, if you guys don't shape up, in 5 years, you're going to be looking for work. Well, he was a prophet, because that's what's happening, is that,
I remember saying
we've had too many Scrum Masters that take 2-day courses that really don't understand what the fundamental theory or foundation is of agility is, which is empiricism and lean thinking.
Right.
And they're not executing that. And
right.
We get these consultant firms that come in and they sell training, they sell all sorts of different things, and they get people to write stories and have sprints and get cool names, but they're not actually doing anything. We had a consulting group, I won't say who it was, that came in to the company I'm at.
They will not be named.
What's that? Right? And they went around the world. They went to all of our sites in Europe, in India, and here in the US. And they came back and they gave this whole readout of what they found, and they completely alienated a major business unit within a matter of minutes, because they totally didn't get, what was the real problem, which was that our business and our engineering weren't working together daily. They were two separate organizations.
Right.
And they didn't even mention that. So, and the people on the ground, they know what the problems are within the company. So you bring in this outside resource and they think, the executives will listen to them.
The voice of authority.
And then they get this readout after spending thousands of dollars on travel and different things. They get this readout that doesn't even come close to addressing it, because it's not the problems of the company. They're just saying, this is what we see the problems are, because that's tailored to what the services that they can offer.
Of course.
And
Filthy lucre.
so I think we've had a decade or more of this, and I think we're seeing the results finally, as people are fed up. And people
Yes.
are saying, you know, just what Jeff Sutherland said, Agile and Scrum, it's a bad word now.
What I've been doing is I go to the client and I go, were you part of the experience of the prior Agile, transformation thing that went on here? If they say no, then I skip what I'm about to say. If they say yes, then I go, this is not that. In fact, I have some suggestions and recommendations which I believe we can produce traction and results, measurable, tangible, confirmed, within 3 iterations. In fact, I'm willing to have you show me the door if we can't do it. How'd you like to take a shot at better results over the next 6 weeks? They'll usually go for that. They don't want training. They don't want squishy theory. They don't want any fluffy dogma. They just want results. Okay, so if you throw the moose on the table and say, we can get results in 6 weeks that'll be validated and confirmed. And if we don't, then I expect that you'll politely lead me to the exit door and, bid me farewell and maybe pack my camels. And that's it. And they like, you know what, I'll go for that. And that's working for me with the business agility customers. They don't want to hear about any fluffy agile terminology. They don't want to hear about either. They just want to get some traction.
Yeah. And I think the provincialism that we've had around, all these different scaling frameworks and so forth, well, you have to use SAFe or you have to use this. To me, I love SAFe. I love elements of SAFe. When it comes to like the portfolio layer, I think it does a great job. It doesn't do as good of a job, in my opinion, as you get down into the depths a little bit, but there are other options. There's the Nexus, there's Scrum at Scale. There's so many. I mean, to me, a good consultant or good coach knows all of these different things and pulls these things in to if it's applicable to the problem that the
Right.
company has.
The last part you said is super important. It has to be applicable to the results they're trying to get. Right.
Right.
It's not just about doing the ceremony, and I'm using that word very intentionally. It really is about achieving the goal and results you're looking for.
Right. And that's ultimately what it's about.
Yeah.
Well,
The simplest example right now, there are clients that I've been to where the daily scrum, all they do is answer the 3 questions. They do nothing with what people are saying. They just answer 3 questions and walk away. It's like, well, what value is that meeting for you? What value did you get out of it? And most of the time it's none. So why do you do it that way?
Yeah. Or my favorite is having a daily scrum with no sprinkle.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you measuring progress towards then? You don't have a goal.
Those 15 tickets that I was assigned during sprint planning. That's about it, right?
Right. But at the end of the day, I mean, I worked on a project recently where, the program was wallowing for 2 years. And finally I said, well, have we actually gone out and reached out to the radiologist? Have we expanded our use of users? And have we actually interviewed them and reached out to them and found out, what they think and what our gap is? And everyone said, that's a great idea. And we expanded to hundreds of users and we interviewed a lot of them and visited their sites. And we came back with a load of information. I mean, that's bringing in the agile value of, customer satisfaction, bringing the customer into, but I never mentioned the word agile once. We can bring in those values and those principles that we all believe in and apply them when we think they can solve a real business problem.
So I think we're in the beginning of the end phase of the rise and fall of the what we might call the pandering frameworks. So here's the definition of pander. One definition. Two, to cater to the lower tastes and desires of others or exploit their weaknesses. I think a lot of that went on in this community. And I think there was some completely vacant stewardship going on at the peak of the boom. And now we all get to pay the price together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of what's going on too. But the good news is business agility is continuing to expand, and we have the goods. We actually have the goods. So I like that challenge question. You know, you want results in 6 weeks, or you can show me the door. Yeah. Because actually we have the goods.
Yep.
So
If
I
we
like
do
that.
that, if we understand the real meaning of the principles and the values and the theory, you know, if
Right.
that's where it is. If you have that, then you can go to any company and add value. You know, you don't have to mention the word agile, scrum at scale, safe, any of that.
Right.
stuff.
Just to add credibility for our panelists, including myself. Joe, how long you been doing this?
Me?
Yeah, since what year?
Oh gosh, 2007.
All right, Dan LeFebvre was first certified agile coach in New England. Dan, how long have you been doing it?
So I started with Agile 2003.
I jumped in 2006. So we're all fossils.
We have experience.
We have wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for now. We don't want to go too long. We'll bore the people.
That's right.
Reach Dan LeFebvre.
Yeah,
Yes, Dan, tell us how we can reach you.
certainly. You can come to my website at dclba.com. You can actually schedule a free consultation and we can have a conversation and see how I might be able to help you.
Awesome. And Dan, how do people reach out to you?
You can get me on LinkedIn and then you'll get to my website from there. Last name is Mezick. Just look me up, Daniel Mezick, and click through on the profile and you get to my website.
And for me, you can reach me on LinkedIn, and I'm always willing to chat. People have reached out to me and chatted for 30 minutes, and I do it at will because these two Dans helped me a lot in my agile journey, and I always feel the best thing you can do is give it away. You know, what you have, you give away for free to others to help them. So anytime you need help, you reach out to me on LinkedIn. All right, until next time, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. And to everyone, have a great rest of the day.